Can This Marriage Be Saved? Part 2. Thank you all for all of your comments. We got so much mail about Part 1. And we're here. Our hearts are all together in this. We're all rooting for Suzy. And stay tuned. We're going to hear the next segment in live right here. And you can ask questions. Send them rolling. Okay, we're good. So we're going to start right off the bat with a very deep question to Suzy, and the question is, how you doing? So Suzy, welcome back. Thank you so much for sharing yourself and your internal goings on, what's happening with you. We really. I got an email this morning said, I can't watch the show live today, but tell Suzy I'm rooting for her. So you should just know there's a lot of people who care about you and are hoping that we can make some progress here. So why don't you fill us in a little how you're doing? Before the show you said, oh, Leah, it's not going so great. So why don't you fill us in a little bit?
Well, I have to say, I have to give you credit. When I did read the book and did implement the things that you suggested, and I'm talking about like the first 2 pages, my husband responded really positively. However, it was Yontif, and I was more busy cooking and cleaning than reading the book. I did read the appreciation section a tiny bit before Yontif started, but that's it.
So
and he responded in like.
So the homework that we had given last time was for you to get your appreciation bucket filled. Were you able to do that at all?
So I did a little bit. Like after I made an awesome Sudam, I said, wow, I can't believe I did this. And it's not me to brag like that. So my kids are like, Mom, don't brag. But one of the times he did pick up and he said, yeah, that was awesome.
Right.
So that was one thing I implemented.
So that's good. That's good. So first of all, when your kids say, don't brag, say, you got to get your kids on board with this, because if your kids have to have a little uncomfortable laugh, and that's fine. They're not allowed to say, Mom, don't brag. That's not appropriate. But, if you want to brag, you're the mom. You run the house, and let them learn how to get their own appreciation bucket filled. So rather than saying, you could, instead of saying, oh, wow, I can't believe I did this, which, may come across as bragging to them, you could change your wording a little, and you could say, wow, guys, does this taste horrible? And they're like, no, it's great, or whatever. If it was great, I don't know. I'll take your word for it, wink, wink. But, you could just change your wording, but by and large, and you could even sell your kids on this and say, listen, a woman needs to get her appreciation met. It's like oxygen for women. And men don't get it. You can tell this to your sons and to your daughters. It's fine for them to learn the reality of life. And you can say, people don't, a lot of people don't understand it. So I am, when I say that, it's because I need to hear what I did was good. I need that appreciation. And women, we have been trained for 50 years to pretend we don't need it, to pretend that it's okay. No, I should be self-satisfied with myself. Why do I looking outside for approval? You know what that's saying? That's saying I don't believe in God because I don't need his approval. I don't need anybody's approval. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm independent. I don't need anybody. I don't need my husband. I don't need my kids. I can approve of myself, and I am fine. And it is a big lie. It is a big lie. We need appreciation from our family. We need it from our kids. We need it and we need it from God. We need to feel like God. We need approval from God, that God likes what we're doing, and we know that He does, because if we do something, if He tells us to do something, and we do it, we feel good. Okay? We need approval all across the board. So your children, if they do not know that, and they are trained that it's called bragging. Okay, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying that's in the culture. The culture is you shouldn't be, First of all, it stems from the fact that people feel like you shouldn't need it, and you do need it, and we all need it. And we need to start a new culture where people like, it's fine. Like if someone does something, there are people who like say, there's always one person behind an event. There's a big event and they do they run to the last minute. They get the postage stamps. Does anyone know what postage stamps are? But anyway, they run and they do all the background work and they do everything. Okay. And, it's like, oh, thanks so much for your work. Like, hello, they need to be told in deep way, this event would not have happened if it wasn't for you. It wouldn't have happened. Your contribution was absolutely invaluable. They're never going to get that because the people are so busy worrying about what they contributed. Well, I picked up the cake from the bakery, and this person did 10 times more work. That person needs to get in the habit of saying, hey guys, just saying, I just want everyone to say, hey, you're awesome, or go on, go girl, or whatever. I need that support to be able to do it for next time. I just want to tell you the 10 things I did, even an email. This is not probably politically correct, but I'm just telling you right now, that appreciation, if that woman gets the appreciation she needs, and it's most important with our husbands, but if she gets the appreciation she needs, she's going to volunteer for 10 other things. And make a larger contribution to society and be more fulfill and maximize her own potential. So appreciation has been a bad, dirty word in this society, and it's unfortunate. So your kids need to be taught. You saying appreciation, you might have to alter your words and do it in a way that's better or whatever. Okay, I hear that, but here's my question for you, Suzy. When you said, hey, I can't believe I did this, whatever, and you complimented yourselves and your kids kind of smirked or whatever, but your husband said, yeah, it was good. My question to you is, how did that make you feel? Were you able to let that soak in?
Yeah, I was.
Good on you. Good. That's great. So you were. So what did that alter in your relationship with your husband?
It made me feel closer to him, which I really don't feel at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So it made you feel closer to him. Is it possible for you to let him know that? I mean, that might be, you might want to wait till you've got this more down, more ingrained in a habit in getting that appreciation that you need. But it really would boost things a lot if you're like, back in over Yontif when I was cooking and, and I said that it was a good meal and you said, yeah, it really was. I just want you to know something that really made my day, or that, made me feel wonderful. It made me feel closer to you.
Okay.
Could you do that?
Yeah, I could do that. And then I have another positive thing to say.
Okay,
so
good.
Last night, as Yontif ended, my parents were visiting us, and my mother asked my husband if he would do the dishes, or said all the guys should do the dishes. And my husband went to town. He loaded the dishwasher, and when we emptied it, he loaded it again. And as we were going to sleep, I said, you really helped us so much. And so that was a positive interaction.
What do you attribute that success to? The reason I asked that question, Suzy, is both for you to be able to repeat it, and so that our listeners can get whatever you learned from that, will be able to implement that in their own houses. So, what was it? What were the factors that let that happen?
I think maybe after Yontif, and we're just relaxing, he was able to reflect and see how much work we had done, the woman had done. And so when my mother suggested or said the guy should do the dishes, then he was willing to just stand up and do it. And then once he did it once, he just pushed himself to do it a second time. Maybe he did it a second time because we thanked him so much.
Okay, maybe did a second time because you thanked him so much. That is, I would say, is for sure a huge part of it, I would guess. But also, I don't think a man picks up and does something so out of character just on a suggestion from his mother-in-law, particularly from his mother-in-law. Okay, so there's some way that you're being that is making him interact with you in a more caring and loving manner. It would be very valuable for you to both recognize what that is, if we can figure that out, and also for you to acknowledge that, because a lot of times we put in a lot of effort and we see nothing, we see no results or whatever. It's so frustrating. And sometimes there's results there. Maybe our husband brought the groceries in when he didn't usually do that, or he'll do something out of caring and love for us that is of value to us, and we don't even notice it. So meanwhile, we feel like I'm putting all this effort and he's doing nothing, and actually he did do 2 little things or 3 little things, and these things grow over time. So let's just look at, if you're when we talked in part 1, there was a part of you that felt a lack of hope in the relationship, and I'm going to use this word, but I don't mean it in a harsh way at all, but sort of victim, like you're just victim to this guy who is just, doesn't know how to make you happy and isn't even trying, and isn't giving you the appreciation you need, and doesn't get it, and doesn't get you, and doesn't feel close to you, or work towards feeling close to you. So there was this sort of victim-ish going on, which I think all of us have to whatever degree, but you just had it a lot, and I think that's what had led you to feel like, what's the point, right, in this marriage? So right now, I'm hearing quite a bit different tone in your voice, and I'm hoping it's from a recognition that he can change, because these things that you've mentioned today that he's done, that looks like what's it called when something changes spot? You're wearing all this leopard outfit. What is it? A leopard can't change his spots. Exactly. And here you're giving us some actually hardcore. The leopard's changing its spots. You hear what I'm saying, Suzy?
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's kind of hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a tendency, I think, to just be, what's the word, like resigned, right? What am I looking for? Like resigned to this is the way life is, and whatever. And we always say here, there's always something we can do. So for a minute, let's look at, I want to find out the, closeness is a really interesting thing. So closeness, people have different definitions of closeness, and people think closeness is like you both go to the beach and you're sitting on the bench and you're watching the sunset, whatever, and you're like, oh, this is closeness, and you're feeling so close. And then you'll turn to your husband and say, what you thinking? And you're thinking, we've been married 21 years, or what are you, 25 years, we've been, whatever. And he says, I was just thinking, I wonder how much money it costs on those houses across the beach. And you're like, oh, he spoiled the whole thing. Like, how much a beach house is, whatever it is, like they're on a different planet. Okay. So, that's not necessarily closeness. When you say, I don't feel close to someone, it really depends on what you mean by closeness. And that's what I want you to explore a little bit, is what are your expectations? The expectations of women are to sort of like you're laughing at the same things. And, is that closeness? Is closeness that you tell him something really deep that's hurting you and he says, ooh, I get it. I share your burden. I'm with you. What can I do? What is closeness? What does it mean? And let's explore that, because I think this can help all of us to understand and have a deeper understanding of, like, what should we expect from a guy? And, there's sometimes you can laugh with a kid or a girlfriend or whatever in a really deep way, and then, it's woman humor, he doesn't get it or whatever, What's closeness? That's what do you define as closeness? What would you consider being close to your husband?
Well, you said the thing that I think brings us close, and you said isn't, but that's how I feel.
Wait, which one is that?
Like
Can you speak
kind of
into
like
your phone?
one of the kids.
Can you speak a little closer into your phone? Because
Sure.
somehow it's going in and out or something. Go ahead.
When one of the kids or grandkids does something cute and we look at each other and smile, that's how I feel close.
With your husband?
Yes.
That's very sweet, actually. That's very sweet. So, what are the things that make you feel not close?
When he says something very judgmental, like if I ask him to bring me something just because it's more convenient for him, he says, "Oh, excuse me, the queen."
So, those are hurtful things.
Very.
They're hurtful. So, is it possible? I'm just going to throw something out there, and I don't know your history or background or whatever, and I'm not a trained psychologist or whatever, so it's like I'm not even going to go into, trying to figure out the types of syndromes that might be possible. But I just want to try something on, which is that, I had a student, and some of you who've watched a lot of the shows may remember this, but she was, my husband, he doesn't know how to feel love. He can't, how to show love. And no matter what I do, he wasn't raised that way. And I can, he just can't show, doesn't know how to show love. And it turns out through a big, long conversation, it really turned out it wasn't that he couldn't show love. She couldn't feel his love. So no matter what he did, no matter what the guy did because of her childhood and her dysfunctional patterns and whatever, she couldn't feel all of the things he was doing to show love to her. She couldn't feel. So it's very powerful. And what I want to find out from you, I understand he says hurtful things, but is it anywhere that there's part of you that wants to make him wrong and wants to put him in hold him at a distance because it's easier to do that than to have the vulnerability that we would have that would come if you didn't do that. You understand what I'm asking you?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
This is deep stuff.
Okay.
It could be that I've talked myself into just accepting every single thing he says or does as something that's affecting me or offending me. So maybe I am doing that to keep him at a distance. Because I realized when you said that we have to recognize the way that they give the love, and he does say things and do things that do show his interest and his appreciation. But since I don't like him so much, I don't really accept those things. I'm being really honest. I know it sounds terrible.
No, I want you to be honest, and I just am not sure that it's really true when you said I don't like him so much. That's something that somebody says, perhaps, that loves someone deeply but is so hurt by them that they can't connect.
I don't know how much I love him or don't. I'm thinking more about like right now. I don't really like him.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
I mean, he speaks Lashon Hara and he's like walks around making noises and just like bracha, bracha, bracha. It drives me crazy.
What's bracha, bracha, bracha?
It means like he walks around and announces to the world that that he's saying Asher Yatzar. It's like, say the last three words and we could say Amen. But what do you have to say the whole thing for? And then when I get out of the bathroom, he doesn't give me any space to be able to say my shared sorrow. He just starts talking to me.
I hear, but this is the kind of pickiness that
Yeah.
you know that comes from intolerance on everything. Like, in other words, if we all do, when you're living, when someone, I had a student and she said, I've never had this problem with anybody before. I'm great with my girlfriends. I'm great with my siblings. I'm like, look, lady, you had your own bedroom. You had your own space. You had your own, whatever. Now you're married and, you're telling me it's his problem because were great with everybody your whole life. You never had a problem with anybody. Wink, wink, like, hello, like I really believed her. Anyway, but, like here she is, and she's saying, so when you're under 24/7 under the roof with somebody who's under your skin in the same room with you, it's very intense, and that's why God gave it to us. It's our maximum way to reach our shlemus, to reach our perfection in this world, is to be tested in such a deep way. So no matter who you'd be living with, everything that they did, or many things that they did, would be annoying. You could be madly in love, and, oh, how dear, I love you so much, whatever. You could be like that, and still, when they scraped the fork as they pulled it out of their mouth, eating their food and whatever, and you're like, it's like chalk on a chalkboard or whatever, whatever. That's how it is. So when you're in a warm, fuzzy place, those things, you're just like, okay. Or if it goes on for too long and you're in a really bad mood and you're having hormones and you're whatever, or you would leave the room. You'd say, oh, I got to go get some groceries, or I've got to go, I'm going to go into the back for a while, or whatever. Or your husband, will go for a walk if he starts getting frustrated with you and he's having a bad day or whatever, right? So, however, when there's, a bank account that's empty of good times and closeness, everything the person does becomes, a reason for separation, a reason for lack of closeness, a reason for pushing them away and keeping them distance. And, it's kind of like we're all the best. What are the attorneys that is the prosecuting who's collects evidence or whatever, an investigator, whatever, investigative report, whatever. They're collecting evidence to win their case of how bad their husband is. And it just sounds like you're going through your married life on a daily basis, collecting evidence as to why he's, not good enough for you, why he's, treats you poorly, why he, what are some of the other things she said? I don't know.
That he's annoying her, basically.
That's annoying. It's annoying her.
Everything
he's doing is annoying, and you just don't like him. You don't like the way he is. You know the fact that he comes out of the bathroom and says his thing, and then makes everybody annoyed, and then he doesn't let you get your bracha out. I mean, those are annoying things. But when there's a spirit of yumminess in the home, he'll start talking and say, excuse me, bracha, 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 or whatever. I need to say, whatever. Or you have better communication with them on the down times. When things are good, you say, hey, I just want to mention something to you. When you come out of the bathroom, you say, bracha, bracha. It's a little annoying to me. You can continue doing it if you want, if it's such a habit, you can't get rid of it. But if it's as long as you have it in your mind that, oh, wait, this is going to be a little annoying, maybe it'll help the situation. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. And by the way, also, when I'm coming out of the bathroom and I'm saying my after blessing, I would appreciate, if you give me the space to do that. And if you forget, I'll remind you. How about I'll give you a signal like this? I'll throw you kisses. That means I'm in the middle of a blessing or whatever. A lot of this stuff can be solved by pretty straightforward communication. He may get it. He may not get it. You'll feel a lot better by having it off your chest, because now, at least when you are rolling your eyes at him saying, bracha, 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 whatever it was that he said that you was annoying you, at least you'll have the, how, like, when you looked at each other, when you see a grandkid do something cute and you have that bonding and that closeness, and which is very sweet, and you should build on that as much as you can. But at the same time, when he is interrupting you from saying your bracha, you can give him one of those looks and say, you can have that closeness even in the midst of him being totally annoying to you, because you've communicated to him these things, these ground rules. And you can, again, how this is done is everything. If it's done like, you're bad and wrong, and, you don't even let me say my blessing when I come out of the bathroom, right? That's going to not go over well. Okay, it's going to make things 10 times worse. But if you say, by the way, it's the funniest thing. You're so careful when you come out of, and say your blessing, and I think it's great. I'm really impressed by that because so many people forget. So I'm really, give him praise. That's wonderful what he's doing. I love what you're doing or whatever, but sometimes it's a little annoying when you say, you announce it the way you do it. But you can continue. I don't really care about that. But one thing is, when I come out, I find it so funny. Here it is. You make such a big deal of it, and then you don't let me. So if it's possible to remember, if you forget also, again, cut him a lot of slack. But can you see how having this kind of a straightforward communication, it's a game changer?
Yeah, that sounds. While you were talking, I thought of something that I'm really mad at him. I'm mad at him because he was never around when our kids were little. And I think that's like coloring every interaction today.
Good for you for recognizing what happened.
What happened then?
Was he just had a business?
He just worked and worked and worked, or was at shul or learning. He just never was home, and he still isn't home. But now I've kind of carded myself. I just don't care.
What's carded myself? Oh, parted?
Hardened.
Oh, hardened.
Oh. Myself. And when my kids complain, where's Tati? I say, well, he's out. That's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And when he is around, I find reasons to get mad at him. So we get mad at each other.
Which makes him not want to be around even more.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think is going on with him emotionally that he did that? Is it that he's very motivated to succeed in business? Is it that the intimacy was too much for him? Conflict was too much for him? What do you think?
The way that I interpret is that he's just following the way his parents interacted. And that his father was at work all day and then he came home and took a nap. And his mother always used to say that. So that he uses that as an excuse to just stay away and be the breadwinner. And then I have to do everything else. And he doesn't have to participate in going to the zoo with the kids.
Mm-hmm. It's the saddest thing is it's his loss,
Yeah, and them.
Yeah, and them. Okay, so that's not a problem that we can necessarily solve because that's a biggie. Right. And it's also a lifetime of his ingrained habits that he learned, and now he's been married for 20, I forget how many,
27.
27, yeah, whatever. Well, we make up numbers. I don't know if that's the fake number we have, whatever it is, over 20 years. Yeah. So, all those years that, that's a hard one for us to actually change the logistics of your life, but we can do a lot to change how you're holding it. Right. If you think of somebody, I know a husband who's married for a long time with his wife, and his wife started getting dementia, and he was so angry at her because there were certain things that, like, come on, but where we went on our vacation, whatever. Like he didn't. No one really knew that it was the very start of it or whatever, and he had all this anger to her. And then when they went to the doctor and they diagnosed her, and he, because he was saying you don't get enough sleep, you don't take enough care of yourself. Why? How come you're forgetting the simplest things or whatever? And then he thought maybe it's this. Anyway, they went and had her checked, and as soon as he knew the diagnosis, you can imagine he had this Rahmanas for this. How do you translate Rahmanas? Yeah, mercy, compassion, sympathy, empathy for her. He just had this outpouring of wanting to take care of her. He was in great pain, let me tell you, we should all be protected from such things. I mean, but when once she got the diagnosis, it was a different story. So, in a sense, if you, in any way in your mind, could think of him in a sense as handicapped with the inability to be there for his family, like what a tragic story, and you could see it as almost like he's a victim of his childhood or a victim of his dysfunctions and a victim to what he had to deal with, not as in that he did it purposely because he doesn't love you, but that he did it because he didn't know any better and he couldn't break out of the mold and he didn't even realize the mold, and all he knew was that that's how his dad was, and his dad and mom, and that was fine for them, so why isn't it fine for me? Maybe never even dawned on him to change, and maybe when you were kind of demanding that he changed, that you did it in a way you didn't know how to communicate to break through that either. I don't know if many women would without a big therapy, or I don't know what you would do, how you would, if you could have done something differently. Probably you couldn't. I don't know. I'm not an expert in it, but I just know that there is something going on with him that is sort of the way he is. Should he have improved? It would have been nice. Could he have improved? Probably. He probably could have figured out some way that he could have gotten to the zoo or made a deal with you. Okay, listen, I really, work all the time, but I want to do it one better than my dad. So I'm going to once a month, you got me on a Sunday for the whole day, whatever you want, a plan like that. But again, someone has to suggest it, and you couldn't have probably been the one to suggest it because you were so angry and upset and like disillusioned with, wait a minute, this is not how I thought my life was going to go. It's sad. But if there was a way in your bigness, if you could see him as handicapped in that area, rather than taking it as volitional pain that he was causing you and malicious pain that he was causing you, it might do wonders for your own feeling of, when something like that happens, a person begins to feel unlovable. It's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling to feel unlovable, like he's just not there. And, I get it. I think anyone listening gets it. We feel for you, Suzy. It's not an easy, it's a suffering. It's a silent suffering, because what can you even say to anybody? Oh, my husband works so hard. Well, you live in a house, lady. What do you complain? Nobody's going to really get it, So it's which makes the crime even more heinous in your eyes, because he's left you with, It's funny. I had somebody, one of my students she said, she was so neglected as a child, like terribly neglected, and her parents just, and she said the worst thing was she used to wish that, God forbid, that her parents would just die, because if they died, everybody would rush in and help. Everybody would have taken, the poor, she would get the sympathy and the love and the support. Somebody would have been there. But because her parents were just totally not there, but were there, it meant that she was just suffering. I don't know if she was a lonely child, but she said she just used to spend the days just in her bed staring. They didn't have the cell phones and games and whatever in those days, So the suffering that you go through without being able to lean on anybody is not easy, and I'm sorry for that. But again, as we always say, we can be victims, and you are, and we feel for you, and it's powerful to acknowledge that and to feel that mourning and feel that sadness, and to let it work through you, and don't resist it, and just you can go through a mourning period about what the loss of your hopes and dreams that you had from childhood. But again, as we always talk about, what can you do right now to make your life better? And there is a lot you can do. aside from the little things you did about getting him to do the dishes and whatever, you see that there's a light on. It's like, oh, we thought what is it? The light's on, but nobody's home. How does that go? What is it? The light, right? So, but you thought there was no light on either. Now you see there's a light on there. There's something to work with. So that gives us hope, which is the biggest first hurdle. But the other thing is to change your own internal understanding of what this guy went through. I mean, how'd you like to go through your life not being able to really bond with your own kids? I mean, I'm sure he's bonded with them. Don't make no mistake. That he can't spend their life under them and paying all their food and taking care of their physical needs and not have a closeness to them. Not the closeness you might have wanted. It is what it is. But from your perspective, if you can have pity or not pity sounds pathetic. Sympathy. If you can have sympathy for what it must have been like for him to grow up the way he did, and for him to not have the tools to really experience the joy of fatherhood that he could have. I mean, I'm sure he had some. I'm sure sitting at the Shabbos table and whatever he did interact with them, I'm sure he got a level of joy, but not compared to what he might have had in his life. And there might be something that could be done for the future and for the grandkids, or maybe not. Maybe he'll wake up by the time he has grandkids and he'll realize, death comes, and while he's here, he wants to be close to them, and that maybe will make him closer to his own kids. I don't know. That remains to be seen. That's not really, we don't have to solve every problem, but I'm just saying
I feel like, and Suzy, God forbid, I'm not like trying to be mean, but I'm trying to be a little bit like realistic. I just feel as though, you're sort of allowing all this stuff to, instead of allowing yourself to then have a future with him, you're just sitting on it and letting it ruin your present. So when he is around, you're not even appreciating the time that he's around. So why would he want to be around? Like, when he's not around, you're upset. When he does come home, you just fight with him. So that means he's going to be more out because he's not going to be interested in being home. So in the long run, it's like this vicious cycle of not getting out of it. It's almost like that, that victim mentality. I'm just going to suffer and everything's terrible for me, and then you never get out of it. So I just feel as though I know she should feel bad for him, but at the same token, doesn't she have to take some responsibility for how she's behaving when he is home? Because she's not making him feel like he wants to be home.
That's exactly where I was going.
Well, I feel bad. I'm not being harsh. I'm just like, I don't know.
You said it very well. You said it better than I did.
No, not at all. Just I feel like, because Leah's so nice, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
No, but first of all, but the reason I'm covering this so deeply is because she's banking on a couple of decades of pain.
I know.
And not pain that you're sharing with someone else is like,
I know,
okay, you had this happen, that happened.
Yeah, the pain is so
by yourself.
Years of pain.
It's like, are you joking?
Yes.
Like I've just carried this burden.
Yeah.
So I just had to acknowledge the burden and let her know we get it and we hear it.
I feel like she wants to, now she doesn't want this for the rest of her life. She wants
we're working on it.
That's what we're doing. I forgot.
I have a question. Do you think it makes sense for me to share this hurt that I've been carrying and anger? Or does it just make sense to be happy that I shared it with you, and then I could start having empathy and sympathy for him?
So it's a great question. Here's the.
Is she asking if she wants to
should
share
talk
with
to
her
him?
husband?
Yeah. Should
okay,
she talk to her
husband?
husband?
I just want to clarify.
So most couples, even ones with extremely good communication skills, this would be too big and heavy and yikes. Like, I think the chances that would go well are about 2% because you don't have a track record or he's just going to take it as a big dump on his lap and he's going to disappear. He's going to be blamed. He's going to, and he's just going to go back to work more. So I hear that. It was a genuine question. I'm very proud of you that you also are willing not to do that, because that's going to also be hard,
But keep sharing it with Leah.
Yeah, you can keep we're here. We're here.
Anytime
So
you need, just
yeah,
be like,
yeah,
Leah,
that's
I
it,
need
Leah.
to dump.
Right. So the thing is that what's crucial right now is for you to acknowledge what you said. You say, you're starting to realize that a lot of the current issues are based on that he wasn't there as a kid. He wasn't what you expected. He wasn't what you wanted. He wasn't the dream husband that you thought you were getting. By the way, Suzy, you should know, if we took a poll of everybody who's listening, we'd say list 10 things, 10 expectations you thought you had in marriage that you aren't getting. They wouldn't have to even think very hard. We'd all have that. So we all have suffered in whatever ways by not having our, it's not like you are sitting there alone, and we all dreamed we'd have this husband, and that's what we got, and it's been an easy ride, and it's just been lovely. All the zoo trips with our husbands, okay? No, that's not how it's looked for everybody else. We all have whatever burdens, and the more students I speak with and share with and work with and whatever, the more I realize, wow, from the outside they look like they got it all put together. You get down a quarter of an inch into anybody's lives, and everybody's got their peckle. Everyone's got their own stuff. And there's an old story where there's a genie comes to, I don't know, some magician, whatever, comes to town. They all go in, and they said, put all of your problems in a peckle, right? They put them all in a bag and leave them by the door. Now you can go and you can look through all the bags in the room, and you can take whoever's you want. And they all look in this one, oh my gosh, the millionaire, I'm going to go to a billionaire, I'm going to go to his problems, whatever his problems could be. Then you look at his problems. Oh, I'm still playing with the tape.
No,
that was my toy. I'm playing with that.
You don't see it on Facebook because it's not on there, but on Instagram, it's...
Oh, I'm playing the tape the whole time?
The whole time. I'm like, it's great because you're like, duck tape.
Can I play with the pen? Is the pen okay? Okay. I'll try and keep my hands wet. So anyway, okay, fine. Does Suzy have any? Suzy, sorry, there was a visual.
Never mind.
Yeah,
you have to
Anyway,
watch
okay.
it. You have to go back and watch
there you go. So, but anyway, what was I even
peckle.
talking? Oh yeah. So everyone, they each had, and you can go through and say, oh, I'm going to go to the millionaires. Like, oh my gosh, he's got a whole island that he owns, but he's getting foreclosed by the government. He's about to be put in jail by this king. Oh my God, forget his. Okay, I'll take this. A nice, simple lady. She's a tailor. Okay. Oh no, not enough food in the house. And they go through all of the other peckles, everybody's peckle in the whole room to see. They all walk out the door with their own peckle. Okay, so whatever it is that we're all dealing with stuff, you don't want other people's problems. You got the problems you have. Let's face them. So now to answer Sarit's issues is the fact is that you've been carrying this burden. Sharing it with your husband will just worsen things. It will just make them feel, whatever. You can share it, as she said, with me. You can get a journal. You can write this down. You can get a tape recorder, talk it into your tape so to catharticize it from yourself. But what is going to be the biggest impact on it is you shifting your mind thinking from I've got the cup as half empty, which we all get it. The cup is half empty. We agree. We're giving you a sticker, an emblem. Yes, you have a half empty cup, as most people do. Okay, you got a half empty cup. Let's start looking at the full part of that cup, and let's start looking at even look, there are people who have husbands exactly like yours. Plus, the husband is out drinking every night, or is flying to Vegas and spending all his money on gambling. I'm not saying you could have it worse, so be happy with what you have. You could have it worse, so be happy with what you have. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to shift the thinking and the attitude of thinking, okay, what is it here that is positive in the marriage that I can grow? And part of that is, look, you want him to chip in. He did the dishes. You want him to do more of that. I don't know if that will necessarily, like if my husband did the dishes, I think it would be nice. It wouldn't really do it for me, like maybe a new dress. Like, I don't know, it's something, So you have to know sort of what's going to really do it for you. You said that working on closeness, I'm playing with the pen.
Yeah.
That's okay. So I can play with the pen.
Okay.
Is that you have there's a closeness that you're looking for with your husband. And I have a feeling, and this is what we're getting to your homework now, I have a feeling that there's a lot more sweet moments of closeness in your marriage than you are able to recognize at this point, because you're still on top of all this stuff that you're upset about. So I think that if you What's that? Is that her?
It's
Okay. Hello. If you were to really put some energy into focusing on what did my husband do today? Oh, nothing. He did nothing for me. That's that's going to be kind of like your way of being. But for instance, let's just take a look at today. What's one thing he did today?
He didn't wake me up this morning.
Oh, you mean that was good? What do you mean? He's not supposed to wake you up?
Motzi Yontif. I stayed up till 3 a.m.
Oh, you mean he's supposed to
Yes.
let you sleep?
Correct.
And he
Yeah.
let you sleep.
Yeah.
So
Yay.
this is good. So how
Yeah.
do you feel?
I feel good.
So I wonder if we do take this to a piece of paper. Yontif is over. You had an excuse for Yontif. You didn't do the appreciation as much as you should have, which you're going to do more. So that included, your homework now is to do appreciation and to get, and to see what what should we call it?
Handicap.
Yeah.
What'd you say, happy cam?
No, handicap.
Oh, handicap. Well, it's shifting your mind to thinking of him as handicap,
exactly.
but you're also seeing what are the ways of closeness he is showing you.
What are the positives?
Positive closeness signs, evidence. Thank you. Closeness evidence.
Yeah.
So you're making a journal and you're saying closeness evidence. So him not waking you up, did that make you feel closer to him?
Now that I think of it, yes. I didn't realize it at the time.
Right.
Good. That's what you want to
Okay.
start working on. Because I'll tell you something, you're going to find a lot of them, and then you're going to be mad at yourself because you're going to see, oh my gosh, he's really better than I thought. Instead of being the prosecuting attorney, we're shifting you into being the
Defense.
yeah, that's it.
You're defending.
You're defending him now, and you got to prove to your mother-in-law, no, or you got to prove how good he is to yourself.
Yeah, and Suzy, Leah's being very nice too, because when we had to do our homework, if we didn't do it, we didn't get off so easy. So the fact that you really didn't do the appreciation thing, and she's being so nice about it.
Well, she did one. She did one.
I know. But you got to do a lot more of those.
Yeah, a lot more.
I know. But also, Leah, is it something that she shouldn't? Because I know that you used to tell me all the time, like when he was doing things that were nice, to like say something to him, meaning, oh, thank you so much, by the way, this morning when you didn't wake me up. It meant so much to me that I got to sleep
I love
in.
that.
I mean, that really, for me, was a game changer with my marriage, because my husband was like, oh, you recognize that? Like, it wasn't
then
just...
he goes on his game.
Right.
He's like, whoa.
Then he thinks about it next time.
Right.
Oh,
you listening to this, Suzy?
Yeah. I'm trying to like think about the two things that I need to do.
Right. So I'll tell you.
My homework.
Right. So first of all, the thing about shifting your attitude to sympathy, that's just a mind shift. That you don't have to do any actions for that. That'll sink in as time goes on. You will just get that, and you'll be okay with it. Like if you married, I have women, and all of a sudden they discovered that their husband's ADHD. Like they never knew, and whatever. Now they've got 3 kids and whatever, and they're like, I have one student who said to me, she said, it was hell because and she said once he got that diagnosis as a 29-year-old, I don't remember, somewhere in almost 30 years old guy, she said everything fell into place. Like, now it all makes sense. And the person said to her, every day have some different thing that you're doing, a different activity. So I mean, they run all over the place. Like, they make me crazy. Like, they're always jumping in the car with 3 little kids. So but now that she knows that, she's not mad at him anymore. She's not whatever. It just shifts. So that shift will happen by itself. But your homework, you're doing the homework. And all you get. I don't know whether you're a paper and pen person. You're an index card. You're a cute little pink notebook. You have it on your phone with an app on either the notes, or there's a lot of apps you can get that you can jot that stuff down. But your homework is to notice is 2 things. One is to get the appreciation you need. So when you got to, at some time between now and the next week, you need to tell your kids, hey, listen, I'm not bragging. Remember that thing, and you guys said, "Oh, Mom, you're bragging." That's not bragging. That's getting the appreciation. I realized I don't feel appreciated around here, and suddenly You can say, it dawned on me, or I read a book, or I read an article, or, whatever works in your family. That goes for everybody who's listening, okay? Whatever might work. You say, I just realized, or I read Marriage Secrets by Leah Richeimer, which I strongly recommend. No, whatever, however you say it, and you say, this is my new thing, that I need the appreciation. I realize I need the appreciation. I walk around upset that I don't get the appreciation. I'm taking it upon myself to get the appreciation I need. I still do it. I'm married a lot of years and whatever. This is my modus operandi. It's part of our Masorah. It's part of our traditions, and it works. Is it as good as him out of the blue saying, "Oh, wow, I can't believe how clean the kitchen looks. You're such a fantastic wife." Or, "I can't believe how you just, blew the board of directors away with that speech that you gave. It's fantastic." Would that be wonderful? Yes, that's an A++ compliment. You get them once a year, okay? Mm-hmm. What women need is a B-, maybe a B+ compliment every day, every week. It depends on the woman, what kind. I need them all the time, okay? So, I'll make breakfast. Isn't that great? I'll make lunch. Isn't that terrific? Yes, okay, fine. So you have to know yourself how much appreciation, but for sure it's not, you can't live on no appreciation. And we have appreciation buckets that are bone dry, completely empty, and we don't even notice we don't notice we have an appreciation bucket. We don't realize it's empty, and we walk around grumpy and wondering what's wrong with us. It's because we need the appreciation. So if you need that every day, if you need that every week, at least once a week. I don't know any woman who doesn't need appreciation once a week, at the very least. Sometime once a day, twice a day, 10 times a day. So you got to train your kids on this. You can even talk to your husband about it. Say, I was taking a class, or I was learning that that I need a lot of appreciation, and I've been kind of annoyed about it. And I realized, or I was taught that women is supposed to solicit the appreciation she needs. So there's no extra work from you. All you need to do is say, "Yes, dear." Okay? And in Marriage Secrets, I give a whole list of different ways to get the appreciation you need. But that is crucial to a woman's happiness. As you said last show, and in part one of this show, you said, "I feel like he doesn't appreciate me." Yeah, of course. No woman feels like her husband appreciates her. And that's why, rather than blaming him, we take the responsibility ourselves for getting that appreciation, and it's fairly easy once you get used to it. Once you get the swing of it. So that's your number one thing, is you're doing that with appreciation. The second thing you're doing is you are noticing when there is a closeness in the relationship. What did you call it? Closeness evidence, an evidence of closeness in your marriage. You're doing that, and if you can do that every day, the appreciation should be every day, but if it's once a week, I'll live with that. But the noticing evidence of closeness it's a game changer. You'll see your marriage is just going to completely shift. Not only because you're going to be feeling more loved and more cared for and closer to your husband, but he's going to bump up his game. Why? Because a man is very simple in this thing. When as we know, Rav Moshe Cordovero gives over, all blessing comes from God to our husband and through our husband and to us. And the more we receive, the more our husband gives. So if you can receive the kind of closeness that your husband is giving you by not waking you up in the morning, or whatever, the myriad of hundreds of different things he can do and things he can say and ways he can behave, if you can let that sink in, you will feel more loved, and that's going to save your marriage. God
by the way, Suzy, we see you in about 29 or so, 4 weeks, days. You are going to have like 29 different things. You're going to be listing them out. So I hope you know this is not going to be I'm not doing this. We want 29 things, at least one thing a day.
Sarit's going to get the whip out. We need a whip.
I'm very homework pro.
Yeah.
Do it.
But when I accept and notice his way of being close, is that something I'm supposed to comment on and reinforce or thank him?
Yeah. So Sarit brought up, from a prior show that we did, where I talked a lot about how like candy. Think about it yourself. If you say to a kid, if you say to your girlfriend, you say, "Oh, you looked so good today," and she says, "Oh, thanks, fine." And then later she calls you and said, "I just want you to know something. I was feeling so bummed out this morning. I was in a bad mood and whatever, and I just nothing seemed right with the world. And you said to me, 'Boy, you look just so great.' It really changed my whole day. I'm just really good. I really needed it. Thanks for being there for me," and gives you a hug. Hello,
$1
$1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million. And yeah.
And then you're going to say it to her again. Because
Yeah,
you're going to know that that's someone who really appreciates what you say. So
who
it's
gets
not,
it. So you don't have to do it in a way that fits in your marriage. You don't want him to think like, are you a Stepford wife? Are you like an imposter? But whatever. But
Why not? That's
why
not so
not?
bad.
Why not? But when do it in a way that feels comfortable and natural and not too forced. But at least I'd say 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 5 of these new noticing things that you do, I would share with him. Yeah, you'll see. You're gonna get flowers. That's our goal. He's gonna feel a lot closer to you because he feels like his closeness arrows that he's trying to shoot at you are being received.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all we have time for, Suzy. Thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to see you in a month, and we'll love to hear good news and good things.
Have that notebook ready. I'm waiting for 29 things.
Thank you, Suzy.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
this is Leah Richeimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you next time.